Hey everybody, what's happening? Stacker here. In today's numismatic news and information for the 24th day of April 2023, I'd like to welcome you over to JM Bullion so we can look at those live spot prices. But before that, huge shout out and a big thank you to all of our channel members. Really appreciate all y'all. And it's only $1.99 a month. That's less than a cup of coffee. Now over here to JM Bullion. Gold is up 370 to 1998.13. Silver's down 2 pennies to 25.32. Platinum down 21.66, but still above that $1,000 threshold at 1119.59, and palladium down 1320 to 1638.88. And I would really believe that this is flat, not so much flat, but silver and gold also flat, maybe waiting for some interesting news to come out. Now, look at this. We're still waiting on that inventory to drop over here at this bullion dealer, JM Bullion. 4/27/2023. That's 3 days from now. And let's face it, it's on pre-sale right now, but how much longer after this comes in stock, they're going to go on pre-sale again? Right? So that's something we need to watch out for because there aren't very many being minted at the United States Mint right now. Now let's look at the premiums on these Silver Eagles. 49.28 is the credit card PayPal payment, and that is the highest option you can pay in this chart right here. That's a 1 through 19, 49.28, and that silver premium is 23.96 when you look at the difference there. That's huge. And is it going to get any better? Well, not if the United States Mint, doesn't act fast and make more American Silver Eagles. And I don't know. I think that's all I got to say about that. That's pretty self-explanatory. Now let's go over here to the Google machine. Now I looked up dollar and gold. All right. And these are two important things that are making the world go round and round right about now. But one is gaining favor and one is falling out of favor. And I would imagine the one falling out of favor would probably need to get defensive or reinvent itself, if you know what I'm talking about. Now it says here, Financial Times 20 hours ago, what strong gold says about the weak dollar. Okay, there's somebody admitting the dollar's weak. BRICS nations buying massive amount of gold ahead of plan to dethrone the U.S. dollar. Yikes! BRICS is, now don't quote me on this, but I believe it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And if I am wrong, go ahead and point it out because I do not mind being corrected. I don't really. Now, let's see. Miami Dade woman. Nope. Here we go. Markets week ahead. S&P, gold, U.S. dollar, global. Yeah. Here we go. Gold slides on higher U.S. Treasury yields. Okay. Gold rebounds above $2,000. That was 5 days ago. Who are the gold mafia? Okay, that's interesting. Here we go. Look at this. I think this was the only thing I've seen where it actually mentions that we're going to get defensive here in the United States. You got to check this article out. And this is from Yahoo Finance, and it was April 4, 2023 from the Sound Money Defense League. All right, now you got to check this out. This is a big deal. So, and this is really what it's about. I think getting defensive. And the writing is on the wall because, let's face it, we know the central banks all over the world are buying massive amounts, massive quantities of gold, especially in Russia and China. All right. As America faces the twin threats of inflation and bank failures, 3 U.S. congressmen introduced a pivotal sound money bill that would enable the Federal Reserve note dollar to regain stable footing for the first time in more than half a century. What happened half a century, folks? Well, I'll tell you here. Representative Alex Mooney joined Representative Andy Biggs and Paul Gosar introduced House Resolution 2435, the Gold Standard Restoration Act. That's right. About 50 years ago, we took off the gold standard. That was Nixon in 1973, I believe. Now, that was to facilitate the repegging of the volatile Federal Reserve note to a fixed weight of gold bullion. There you go, folks. Isn't that interesting? And if this does happen, well, I would say that we will have a lot more stable prices and a lot less inflation. Now, upon passage, especially if it's backed by gold, right? That's amazing. Upon passage of House Resolution 2435, right? Upon, that means it hasn't yet. The U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve are given 24 months to publicly disclose all gold holdings. That would be interesting. I don't know if that's going to ever happen. Gold holdings and gold transactions, after which time the Federal Reserve note dollar would be formally repegged to a fixed weight of gold at its then market price. Federal Reserve notes would become fully redeemable and, exchangeable with gold at the new price, with the U.S. Treasury and its gold reserves backstopping the Federal Reserve banks as guarantor. Money experts have noted a return to gold standard would substantially curtail the economic damage caused by inflation. There you go. Runaway federal debt and monetary system because they won't print as much money as they can because it will be pegged to how much gold reserves that are backstopping, right? That's huge. And monetary system instability. A gold standard would protect against Washington. I don't, honestly, even if we are on a gold standard, I don't think that protects our economy. I really don't. It protects our money. more than our economy, I would think. Gold standard would protect against Washington's irresponsible spending habits, I had to say that again, and creation of money out of thin air, said Representative Mooney in a statement. Prices would be shaped by economics rather than the instincts of bureaucrats. No longer would American families, businesses, and the economy as a whole be at the mercy of Federal Reserve banks and reckless Washington spenders, okay? The Gold Standard Restoration Act also makes several findings as to the harm the Federal Reserve System is implicated on there. I don't even want to read that, yada, yada. It says here, House 2435 points out the Federal Reserve note has lost more than 40% of its purchasing power since 2000 and 97% of its purchasing power since the passage of the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Yeah, so that's not good, right? 97% of its purchasing power and 40% since 2000. That's incredible. That's a gut punch right there. Historians have observed that the elimination of gold redeemability from the monetary system freed central bankers and federal government officials from accountability when they expand the monetary supply, fund government deficits through trillion-dollar bond purchases, or otherwise manipulate the economy. There you go. At times, including 2021 and 2022, Federal Reserve's actions helped create inflation rates of 8% or higher, increase the cost of living for many Americans to untenable levels, enriching the owners of financial assets while endangering the jobs, wages, and savings of blue-collar workers. House 2435 states. Isn't that interesting that it would say something like that? Now, I'm going to keep on keeping on because this is very important, folks. I got probably about 4 or 5 more to do here. I'm going to leave a link in the description, but this is a big deal. But what really the big question is, how many? I mean, this seems not very much bipartisan, right? I would like to see a bipartisan bill to stabilize the dollar's value. And let's face it, if we go back here to the Google machine, we're going to see that the dollar is being, well, kind of, I don't want to say it's under attack, but it is not holding a favorable status. And what are our representatives doing about it, right? I think that's one of the most important parts. Now, what are you doing about it, right? I think that's, yeah. So if our representatives aren't doing anything, does that leave us, to our own devices to take care of ourselves? I mean, where is the leadership? Are they giving advice to people saying, "Hey, folks, you might want to buy silver and gold. The economy isn't too good." I mean, what do leaders do, right? I mean, do they just sit there in a air conditioned building and sign paperwork and stuff, or do they actually get out there and give people advice? I don't know. Always scratch my head over that one. Now, this is Bitcoin.com, and I think this is probably the more important article of the two that I've got here to share today. And this is written by Sergio Gushenko. I think he's out of South America. Market analysts heralds the collapse of everything. Yikes, that does not sound good. Calls for the hedging in gold and silver before there isn't any left. And one of the things I've been hearing a lot lately on the internet is that the gold and silver that is out there is, well, it's disappearing quickly. And once the, I guess, central banks or governments or whoever's buying in large quantities, once they really start going, there's not going to be any gold and silver left, right? So that's what it says right here. There's not going to be any gold and silver left. And we can kind of see this kind of little bit playing out the beginning of it, right? Because let's face it, if you go to some of those bullion dealers, they didn't want to talk to you if you didn't hit $200, $500 per order, right? They wanted you to be a big dog. Otherwise, you got to go to eBay and buy some stuff there. Hopefully you get some free shipping out of it. Now, if you're a big dog, you're going to be able to buy these, right? Because you're going to be able to have the cash available. That $500, yeah, you know what? That's a lot of money. Who's got $500 just sitting around just to buy silver or some fractional gold or anything like that, right? So that's kind of tough. But by the time you do save up possibly some money, is there going to be any gold or silver left? Yeah, I don't know. So maybe a part-time job, maybe a yard sale, but look at this. It's all red. That's a negative image right there. Wow. Now it says here, Egon von Greyerz, I hope I said that right, market analyst and founder of the Matterhorn Asset Program, is predicting the collapse of the central bank system in the next few years due to an increasing issuance of currency and debt. Von Greyerz states that in the face of an economy with no buyers, the only hedge will be tangible assets, including gold and silver. Tangible means stuff you can touch, right? Like an artwork or musical instruments, gold, silver, that sort of thing. The collapse of everything, this is the title. Egon, the founder of Matterhorn Asset Program, has recently expressed his worries about the situation of central banking system in an article. You can click here for that article. The collapse, everything collapse, where he details how the economy could collapse in the coming years. And would it be the coming years or would it be sooner? I don't know. It's interesting, though. We should be paying attention, where he details how the economy collapsed in the coming years, calling for people to hedge their savings in gold and silver. See, there's somebody giving some advice, right? And he's not even an elected representative. Von Greyert states that the current macroeconomic problems are derived from the uncontrolled issuance of fiat money and debt, manipulated by the movements of central banks. Gosh, I feel like we just covered that right here with this 3 congressmen story. It says here, Von Greyert states that the current, I just read that, I'm sorry. He believes that the 2008 market collapse, the subprime mortgage crisis, the wild swing in the rates of treasuries, and the inflation boom have all been produced by the current central banking system. And he states, the debt which has been built up now has reached levels which means the financial system is now too big to survive. Wow, that's not good. I guess it's collapsing under its own weight, maybe. Mr. Greyert explains that the central banks are vigilant to stop bank collapses, as evidenced by what had already happened with Silicon Valley Bank and Credit Suisse. However, he believes the issued controls, like the insurance set by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, aka the FDIC, which insures only about 0.7% of the 18 trillion deposits, are posed to fail. That's not good. That is, oof. Yikes, right? Now, that means the government would have to start printing more money in order to save the system. And if they do that, well, what happens, folks? Yeah, I think you know. Gold and silver, the ultimate hedge. In his article, he notes that all assets are priced at the margin, and while investors exit the stock market and other markets, like real estate market, it is possible for assets to plunge by 70% or even go to zero. I don't know about that, but that would be drastic, seriously too much. Now, if there's one seller and no buyer in the housing market, the price of all houses will go to zero. I don't believe that. The same is true, and there will be buyers, right? I mean, because look, there's going to be people buying it up. If it goes to $10,000, $50,000 per house, some people will buy that. People have money, right? It says here, but as investors run for the exit, most will not get through, since there will at some point be no buyers at any price. Yeah, I don't know about that. I disagree. In this hypothetical situation, he recommends paying all debts in order to avoid suffering bank repossessions and jumping to tangible assets. However, in the long run, he recommends a flight to safety by investing in precious metals like gold and silver before the demands leave the current supply at zero. There you go. That's exactly what we've been hearing for over a month now. Currently, all production is absorbed, and any increase in demand cannot be met by increased supply, but only by much higher prices. Yikes. And who's going to be able to afford that, right? The big dogs, the central banks. We could reach a situation where there is no gold and silver available at any price. That would not be good. So that's the wrap it up right there. What do you think, folks? Will there be gold and silver available? Or, well, when things kind of hit the fan, will there be none available, right? That's something we all need to think about. And there's a good question down here at the bottom that he asks. Let me see here. Yep, there it is. This is Sergio Gushenko. What do you think about the potential collapse of the financial system discussed by Von Greyert and the value of gold and silver as protection for investors? It says, tell us in the comments section below. And I think that's a really great question there. Now, let's head over to these plus ones today. Bam! Love that one. Psalms 10:15, or Psalm 10:15, right? It says here, break the power of the wicked and the bad one. You will search for his wickedness and find it not. And I believe what that means is when we break the power of the wicked, those tempted to imitate them, the bad one, are going to repent. But let me ask you a question here. What happens when we don't break the power of the wicked? Well, I think the opposite would be true, right? We get more wickedness. And are you familiar with that term, nip it in the bud? Yeah, nip it in the bud. Now let's head over here to 99.9 KOI News Radio. This is Billy Idol, White Wedding. And do you know what this song is about? White Wedding? Hey, little sister, what have you done? She's going to wear a white dress. And does she deserve to wear a white dress? Well, I think that's what Billy Idol's confounded about. Now, I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for dropping by. Don't forget to hit that like button. And if you do like what you hear and see, well, subscribe to the channel. It's free. Stacker out.